Good morning, good evening, everyone. Onegaishimasu. Nice to see you. I'm going to read Kyudoshin this morning. Kyudoshin means the way-seeking mind. The mind seeking to clarify and practice the way of the universe is called Kyudoshin, or the way-seeking mind. Animals are unable to know the universal mind, even if they are very clever. This is a privilege that only human beings possess. How fortunate are the people who manifest the way-seeking mind, because this is exact proof that they have discovered their true human nature. I really want to suggest that we always try to live a life of the highest possibility. That means not missing opportunities when they arise. Like, for instance, when we wake up in the morning and we think, oh, I don't feel like meditating this morning. I don't think that's a good idea. I really have some other things that I need to think about and take care of. Or when it's time to leave the house to go down to the dojo to train for the class this evening. And instead we think, oh, I just don't feel quite like doing that today. I think I have these other things that are more important. Well, it's not that, family and business and other things aren't not important. They are. Um, but think about what I mean by living a life of possibility. So, because we never know when anything is going to arise in our life, we are not in charge of that. It's always a surprise. We cannot control, right? What comes up, and I guarantee you, from my personal experience, when you think, uh, well, maybe there's not anything going to really important going to happen in meditation this morning for me. It just doesn't feel right. I guarantee you that morning, something will happen that transforms your life. It's just that our selfish mind, the mind, which is the mind that is making a choice to skip meditation or skip class, that mind is only controlled by uh, a conditioned response. And those responses are pleasure and pain. So the selfish mind only makes its decision on pleasure and pain. What kind of decision is that? Sometimes it's probably beneficial. But when it comes to skipping class or skipping meditation, maybe not the wisest choice. We always want to make sure that we make ourselves available. We avail ourselves of opportunity. This is the way-seeking mind that Toy Sensei is talking about. If we live a life like that, then that is a life that's filled with inspiration, that's constantly reawakening to itself, that constantly is knowing itself. And so always has something coming from itself to share for others. And then when we live our life for others, which we're all doing, there's something worthwhile there, something to think about. All right, this morning we'll do some sitting. We'll begin with keep breathing. Okay, so what I'm suggesting with my little talk about um, choosing to meditate or not in the morning. Uh, Ultimately, that's not the choice. The only choice we can make is to keep one point or not. But it's very important to notice how we prioritize the finite things in our life. In other words, those kind of choices. When we sit in meditation, we're resting in our body, which is the finite universe, right? The world of relativity, of duality. We're sitting in that world. But at the same time, we're resting in the infinite. So at the same time, we're having an experience of infinity while we're in the body. So that's the practice of meditation, to be in both of these worlds, to rest in both of these worlds comfortably at the same time, without questioning, without judging, without really seeking anything except that, just being in this, what Toy Sensei calls taiga. Once you can keep one point, I always mention the one point is the gateway between the finite and infinite, or the gross and the subtle, the body and the mind. The one point is the transition point. So once you can rest in the one point and walk and talk and work, then it doesn't matter what you do, because you're in meditation all the time. Toy Sensei used to call Aikido movement meditation in motion. And that's exactly what it is. That's not a romantic idea. We are actually in a state of deep meditation when we're actually doing an Aikido technique properly. So the same thing applies with when we're sitting and talking to our partner, or when you're watching the news on television, or when you're driving a car, or when you're designing something in your work, or organizing your day. These are all finite requirements for all of us, but we sit in infinity when executing them. This is why we practice meditation, so that someday we can be in this mind-body unified state all the time. Excuse me. Charles Boyer, what's your experience with this?
Hi, Sensei. How are you doing today?
Excuse me?
How are you today?
Oh, I'm very good, thank you. I'm here.
I'm glad.
And happy to be
Well,
here.
I find that even in meditation, for example, there may be a very nice feeling from the very beginning, a very nice experience, very pleasant and calm, and yet the draw of the shoga, of the selfish mind is still very strong. It's constantly interfering with that experience. And that's my experience, say, this morning with it, was this way. Yeah. Of course, everything seems so nice. And then, and so how I'm approaching it in my training is to not fight this, right? To allow it to just come and go as it does. But sometimes it's very, very strong, that draw. That's my experience today.
Yeah, so it reminds me, Doi Sensei says, he defines the key of the universe as an infinite gathering of infinitely small particles. That's what he says key is. So the key is not a thing as much as it is a movement, an infinite movement. Key is that a phenomenon that is both infinite and finite at the same time. Once it's gathered together, it appears as an object or a thing in the Shoga world. But actually it's infinitely moving. It's not still. So that answers your query. If you really look at it. We don't do this, do we? I mean, we live in a world of this and that. But it's because we don't look behind or within. We don't look deeply enough into. We have all the hints we need. We have all the information is available. It's no longer something that's only available to monks or certain people. It's now available to everyone. And you've heard nothing but, each of us have heard nothing but for the last many, many, many years. And yet, we don't always live a life of opportunity, like I was talking about. We don't always take advantage of everything that we actually already know, or is already available to our mind, to our awareness. It's ignorance is just ignoring what is already here. So next time you feel drawn to something in the gross element, you can happily enjoy that. But I mean, really, not the way it wants you to, but actually, that's called transformation. That's reality. That's living in this reality. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei.
Someone else would like to say something? Or if you have a question, of course, we have just a few more minutes. I saw in this book I've just finished, which currently is being called Otomo. I asked all the people, or many of the people that had been that acted as my Otomos over the years, to write something and put it in there. So one of the people said, you know, being that I'm having trouble exactly how I want to say this. So he just said, you have to be careful when you ask a question of Curtis, because it goes really deep, really fast. And you may not want to go there. And, you know, that's so, I'm sorry to hear this. You know, and I realize that, but But see, this is an opportunity. And actually, the person that said that points that out. He said, if you can just get over the initial shock of it, it's really, you know, it can be very useful. Well, you know, it's not, okay, don't misunderstand me. That's why I was having trouble saying about this. You know, it's not because of me, it's because of you. When you're willing to expose yourself to that, when you're willing to be present for that, no matter what gets said, no matter what gets exposed, no matter what gets revealed, when you are willing to do that, then you're in this state already. I'm talking about this state of mind-body unification, this state of infinite and finite at the same time, because it's completely open-ended. It's limitless. What can happen to you? And of course, for me, it has to be the same way. So we're both sharing this experience. That's why it feels like that. But I kind of think of it as very positive kind of thing, you know. But you know me, if you know me, you know that. So
Hello,
thank you
Sensei.
very much. Oh yeah, Fincher, hi.
One quick question. I couldn't pass up that offer that you just gave. That was just too tasty. I have a quick question about the Shokushu Kyuroshin. And in the first paragraph, there's a little difference of definition I'm wanting to ask about. Sensei says, the mind seeking to clarify and practice the way of the universe. And then he says, it is called Kyuroshin, or the way seeking mind. And my question is there really a difference between seeking and practicing? It seems like there's a subtle difference. Or
I think what he's saying there is the way seeking mind seeks the way to practice. So the way, remember now, the way is the way of the universe. And what is the way of the universe, Fincher?
well, it's unification.
It's this. This is the way of the universe. This is the universe having its way. What's happening right now? This is the way of the universe. But following this is practice. So those four principles of practice I'm always talking about: show up and open and follow and accept. So that's how to follow the way of the universe, right? That's how to practice. So the way seeking mind is the mind that seeks to follow the way. I don't know if what you're saying, I see what you're saying, but to me, the seeking to follow the way and following the way is, yeah, pretty much the same. So that's what you're commenting on, I think. But you're someone who's actively engaged in following the way. So maybe what he's saying is, if you don't know what following the way of the universe is and you're not doing it right now, then seek the way. Then check it out and see if you can discover this way of living, which Suzuki Sensei called living life completely. I love that. Mm. Right. You like that a lot.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. And I'll see you very soon. どうもありがとうございました。